The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
What's been going on with these movie studios, but it must be peak desperation if they're paying people to shill for them this hard. I did a review of Civil War, a movie that I actually thought was going to be amazing. They showed the only action part of the entire movie in the trailer. And the truth is, the majority of the movie was not that. I'll show you another clip like I showed you the first clip in the beginning of this video. Let me show you what the trailer looks like, a section of the trailer, and you tell me what you think this movie was supposed to be based on the trailer that was given to us.
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
You're moving to D.C. today.
They shoot at us outside the Capitol. I mean, it's taking business. This is death. What?
Every time I survived the war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Help do this. But here we are.
There's some kind of reason for standing here. Look, you're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
The Western forces reached the White House on July 4th.
So that's a big chunk of the trailer, right? That's basically almost the whole trailer. And I don't usually show the entire trailer or a big section of it just like that because honestly, there's no need to. But the reason why I had to put that out there, and you guys can see the trailers yourselves too, is so you could understand what I was seeing before seeing this movie. I watched the trailer before, and this was what was marketed to us. Now, anybody watching, be completely honest, what you would think this movie is about upon seeing this trailer. Because you know what I thought? It looks as though a bunch of journalists are trying to get to an area and survive in the midst of an active civil war, constantly running into danger while trying to get their story. And with the movie being called Civil War, I figured, based on what was shown, that most of what we were going to be seeing, and based on what they put at the forefront of the freaking trailer, that we were going to be seeing a lot of that subject matter being the Civil War. I don't care who the sides are. What was shown to us was, hey, it's dangerous right now. People are at each other's throats and don't trust each other. It is a dangerous time, especially to be a journalist. That's what I got from this trailer. And so upon watching the movie, thinking that's what I was getting based on the marketing of the movie, I made a review saying how disappointed I was. Now, I want to address some things because it is so annoying to me to know how asinine people are behaving over this whole ordeal. And there are 4 things I specifically want to address. Number 1, the fake comments or shill comments that pretend as though they're reviewing the movie in favor or doing well for the movie by insulting people who did not like the movie. 2, the people who didn't even watch videos like mine or others saying that they hated it and just assumed without having watched our content that we don't like it because the movie didn't choose a political side. The idiots also claiming that I missed the point of the movie or that people who didn't like the movie missed the point of it. And lastly, the subjectivity of art. So let's really get into it because apparently people don't think very well. I don't know what's going on with people's heads, but it's happening enough, not just on my video, but in other people's videos, specifically for the reviews that thought the movie was trash. Mum's the word on those that were praising it. But let's address the first thing, which is the fake comments. You have comments like this that just say, "Culp, bad take, everyone, this is a great movie, ulterior all alone," even though the majority of the comment section feels the same way I do. Go watch Monkey vs. Lizard and eat your slop. I think you missed the point. Did anybody who agreed with this awful review actually watch the movie, or are they just meat riding this annoying lady? Everyone in the theater lives the movie. I think you meant to say loves. You're tripping. Put an apostrophe. I have a bad take because the movie was boring to me. Blah, 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 blah. Insult. I have TikTok brain rot. You gotta be in the top 10 of retards on this app. Genuinely dumbest take I've ever seen. So you have these comments. And I'm not saying that real people aren't writing them, but I'm very very skeptical because, and I call them fake, because there's a format with these comments. Not saying that people can't like the movie, because everyone has a right to like it and everyone has a right to hate it. But you have the reviews and users saying how amazing the movie is and that it's great. But I don't trust sites like Rotten Tomatoes because they've shown in the past that they have bought and paid for reviews. For instance, during the Captain Marvel movie, they straight up copied and pasted hundreds of reviews that said all exactly the same thing word for word. Rotten Tomatoes also deleted negative reviews from people who were verified to have watched the movie, who weren't even really bashing it, but just saying that it was mediocre. Mine included, by the way. So then you have comments that come onto videos like mine, specifically those who were talking about the movie being bad or who didn't enjoy it. And I have to show you some of them because the ones I just showed you are only a few, but it just made me very skeptical as to whether or not these people were for real, or if it's some kind of AI social experiment, or if these people were bought and paid for, or if they're just straight up fucking stupid. The number one thing you'll notice with these comments that they all have in common, most of them, is that they will say something along the lines of, I don't know what people are talking about, or something like, we didn't watch the same movie apparently, and then they'll continue by saying that the movie is great and how it shows the realities of war. Most of the time, they don't even go into that, but they'll say other stuff like that and praise the movie, but then they'll end the comment by saying, you're young and stupid, oh, but do you, cope, you're dumb. There's always an insult. They always conclude their comment with something along the lines of insulting the content creator who reviewed the movie poorly or who didn't have a good experience with the movie. They'll say stuff like this just because they never respect the fact that the person didn't like the movie, but will straight up name call them or shame them for reviewing it poorly, thinking that if that's somehow gonna make us not feel the way we feel about the movie anymore. And granted, there are a few people who disagree with me. I don't have any problem with that. The people who actually sound like they're humans. Even this person commented and said, so I saw the movie and I felt like it wasn't that bad, 6/10. To me, it seemed like you were overreacting until I went back and watched the trailer. So yeah, your gripes are justified. Even outside the misdirection, there are a few things that you brought up that I can't really dispute. Truck hunt is the MPV. The truck really was though. I don't even know what the truck hunt thing is. I still have to look that up. Movie is slow and fairly boring throughout. The war is just background dressing. The funny thing is I think the movie would have done okay if they were honest about it. But at the same time, if they weren't confident enough in it to point that they had to advertise the way they did, then yeah, maybe not. And the thing is, you can still enjoy the movie if it's not your type of movie, if it's your type of movie, but they did not market it that way. Then I look at some of the comments that just, not even just negative comments that disagree. I don't have a problem with those, but the really weirdly scripted comments by people that feel like they were purchased off of Fiverr or something, where they'll say, brain dead take, cope, movie was stunning, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm talking about, those AI responses that when someone's calling, your phone comes up with, so you can click one of those things to reply to someone, but it's not actually you replying. And every single one, almost every single one of these accounts look like alt accounts that don't have any activity on them whatsoever. Most of them. I found maybe like 3 out of all the ones, and it's not just my channel, I found this on other people's channels too, with the comments in their comment section. And it was enough, like, it's different if people are warring against each other, like the Godzilla and Kong situation. That was different. I could understand the mixed bag with people saying they hated it, they didn't like it. They felt like real people arguing, people that disagreed. I also did a video about that as well because I still don't agree with people who thoroughly liked the movie and people who didn't like the movie, you know, just shaming people who didn't like the movie and not assaulting them, but verbally assaulting them to the point of just inciting violence against them. It's just really freaking bizarre. But I noticed the format was so similar with all of these types of comments that it tipped me off. You know, you can tell when something is not human generated, when it feels like a bot wrote it or somebody is writing it because they were paid to write that review. You notice this on Amazon as well. Sometimes people go a little bit above and beyond, but you'll start to notice on certain products with Amazon when someone has gotten the product for free or they were compensated in some manner to review the product favorably, give it 5 stars, because they all have the same format. This is great. I should have tried this sooner. You don't have to look anywhere else. This product is it. Good product. And it's like, okay, at some point, maybe if you're gonna go that far to write a review, because you have to go into Amazon, quite a few steps to write a review. Why would you do all of that just to write those 2 letters? What would motivate you to write the review in the first place would make you expound on why you're writing it. So that's why I'm tipped off. And then I realized later upon my research that people actually do this. They do pay people to write reviews. And they do this also for like Fiverr, or some of these studios will hire people from not even America. And I noticed this on the Captain Marvel thing because the majority of those reviews that were copy and pasted were from Indian people. People didn't live here. So I'm like, okay, kind of suspicious. And it's okay, again, it is okay to disagree. But when people go out of their way to insult people on a personal level or to shame them for daring to think differently, that's when it's an issue. If anything, it's going to make it much worse for the movie. It only serves to shine this movie in a more negative light. When a movie is good or people genuinely enjoyed it, most of the time people don't say anything to those praising it. They hop on board and they like it together, or they say something along the lines of, well, I didn't feel that way, but I'm glad you liked it, which is fine. Occasionally you'll have people who insult you for liking something by saying something like, I guess people will just eat any entertainment and blindly swallow down trash, like one of the comments I showed earlier, which is very disgusting and rude. Of course, you have the right to say it, freedom of expression and all that jazz, but it's very rude that because you didn't like something, you decide to go out of your way to insult somebody else's taste. Imagine if the world functioned like that in real life. I like chocolate ice cream, and I'm minding my own business, eating my chocolate ice cream and telling my friend who's sitting beside me how much I like it and she should try it, and some random person comes along and says, I guess you guys like the taste of shit. Shows what kind of people you are. And walks away. People don't do that in real world because it's fucking stupid. It makes you look ignorant and like you lack any type of intelligence. People are unique and should be allowed to like what they like. You wouldn't like it if people came up to you and tried to shame you for everything that you like or dislike. But those same people will turn around and treat others like that. You need to ask yourself, why does it personally trigger you so much to the point where you would get upset enough to insult someone else's character just because they didn't like a movie that has nothing to do with you? They didn't even know you existed before they made their review or said that they didn't enjoy something. I understand teasing people and mocking them by poking fun, but that's different. But most of the comments are done with such malice that it almost feels as though these people are being paid to do this, or they live really sad lives where their entire existence is wrapped up in the internet and the validation of complete strangers liking the movies that they like. Very pathetic. Number 2, the second issue, is people hearing that someone didn't like a movie and automatically assuming that the person's dislike stems from this movie not choosing a political side, without even having heard what the person has to say or watching their review. That is straight up ignorance. How are you gonna sit there when you hear that somebody else doesn't like a movie and then just claim, I don't know why it elicits such a strong emotion of hate, when you didn't even hear what the content creator had to say in the first place? If you don't know why someone has a strong reaction or why they don't like something, the sensible adult thing to do is to watch their video or talk to them and ask why. Sitting there and trying to make yourself look self-righteous without even opening up conversation or discussion with a person that you don't understand just makes you look like a bigot and an idiot. You don't care. You don't even care to discuss something with the person or hear their point of view. You just want to feel more important about yourself. All it serves to do is just make you look a jackass. It's also a very passive-aggressive way of addressing the aforementioned matter, which is shaming people for not feeling the way you do or for having a completely different reaction than you did. I'm sorry, but with the utmost respect, get fucked. The third thing is fish-mouthed roach people coming from out of the woodworks to insult people by claiming that they missed the point of the movie or were too stupid to get it. Yes, I don't feel bad for insulting you back because when you bring that energy, you have to understand you're gonna get it back. I don't give a fuck. I never made my review and call anybody any names if they liked it. People who said that they liked it in the comment section, especially if they were respectful and said, hey, I like the movie personally, or I disagree, I didn't shame them or insult them or call them any names. I told them I was glad that they liked it because I genuinely don't want everyone to have a bad time. I also asked some of them because I was curious about what they liked about the movie in particular. I was just curious about that, like different perspective. Cool, you liked it. What did you like about it? Is it this particular scene? What is it? And I've seen so many comments like this to the point where I'm wondering if they're AI generated or something. I really am wondering that. Because again, when you go to the accounts, they have like 1 or 2 subscribers and have no activity. The history is very shoddy. It's very strange. They only have that one comment and it's always the same exact format as the other comments. And so that's why, I know I'm reiterating this, but it feels It feels very suspicious. Like these accounts were made as alt accounts for people who were either friends of the movie creators or the studios or something, and they're done on purpose to go around deep throating the movie creators and bending over backwards to get stuff by these studios, or they're nepotistic friends. This comment that I'm going to show is one of the most ridiculous comments, and it's public. You put this up here, so understand everyone can see it. You put yourself on blast. Okay, so you missed the point of the movie. It's about journalism and what they deal with. It wasn't about the actual Civil War. It was about the journalists going to DC while the country fights each other. Texas and California teaming up was done on purpose to show that this movie does not support the right or the left. And I did answer this comment already, but for everyone else who was asking this question or making this cow-headed claim of people missing the point that didn't like the movie, if the movie is marketed, like I showed you the bits of the trailer and you can go watch it yourself, if the movie is marketed and presented as a Civil War movie or modern Civil War movie, and the movie is, I know, shockingly, called Civil War, why are you then saying that we missed the point while also saying in the same sentence that it wasn't about the actual Civil War? The movie called Civil War is not actually about Civil War, but yet we missed the fucking point? You colorless flower petal. The movie is called Civil War. Why don't you go watch the first trailer? Because clearly you didn't. Because in the trailer, the movie was presented extremely differently. The movie presented itself one way, and then when you go and watch it, you see that the execution is a totally different way than what was presented in the trailer.
Citizens of America, people of the Florida Alliance, and the Western forces of Texas and California will be welcomed back to these United States as soon as their illegal secessionist government is deposed.
We don't know what side they're fighting for.
Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
How else to say that? I could say it like 6 different ways. Literally every action scene or moment when the movie wasn't dragging or when they were driving and just talking about nonsense was what was shown in the trailer. I swear to God, the movie is about slow motion shots, and they have some slow motion clips peppered in there of dead people and a shell-shocked soldier, close-ups of the main characters who are boring as fuck, and them screaming when they were traumatized by something, but you don't even hear them scream. It's just a slow motion silent shot of them screaming like it's a freaking music video. As I said to someone else, there was another movie about aliens that I did a review of as well, and it was basically a walking simulator, and basically had nothing to do or barely had anything to do with the aliens. The aliens probably make up like 2 minutes of the entire movie.
They're taking us through the infected zone.
It's the only option we've got.
When I was told about the 2010 British science fiction horror film, Monsters, I was told that people loved it, it was a great movie, it had monsters in it, and understandably, from the trailer, it looks intriguing. I had started watching this movie, and I watched the first few minutes of it, and I fell off for some reason, and then I actually sat down and finished it. And I understand why I fell off the first time, and why I should have never watched it. Because good grief, I don't know what people were talking about, but it was, for me personally, an entire waste of freaking time. I want you to take a look at the trailer, and even just the little clip that I showed you there, and please tell me if this is something you would want to see, because based on what I can see, the very limited information that I have, it looks badass. It looks like they're gonna be a bunch of aliens that come down to Earth, people have to fight for their lives, and based on what they said about it being absorbing and thrilling and moving, that is exactly what we're going to have to see, what we're going to have to witness. And when you market the trailer in such a way, that is exactly what you're expecting when you go into this movie.
I repeat, this is an emergency. Evacuate immediately. I repeat, this is...
Liars! Liars! This movie movie, only the places that you've seen in the trailer are the only parts where we get to see monsters actually interacting with the cast. This movie was many things, and absorbing, thrilling, and moving is not what I would call it. It's frustrating to observe how the trailer presents this vastly different impression of what the actual film is. If they were more honest about the trailer, the majority of the clips would have comprised of these characters driving and talking and interacting with each other or talking about their philosophical issues or the journalism stuff. But they show all of the scenes with people fighting or with them screaming when that's a very small part of the movie. That is disingenuous because they knew that if they were more honest with the trailer, people would not come out to see it because it would look boring. And there is a niche for that because there are some people who admitted in the comments that they like road trip type style movies where people are just driving from one destination to another with some action or drama sprinkled very sparingly. I even think that there's a way to do that because I watched some of those videos, like Zombieland is one in particular that people brought up, and I'm like, that was way more interesting. The characters were more interesting. You didn't have all these weird ass slow motion shots with nothing making up most of the movie. But anyway, that's not how this movie marketed itself. It did not market itself as a road trip. Look at this fucking trailer. Look at how they are pointing out all the action and the scary, eerie scenes. Look at the tenseness. Look at what they're saying. Oh my God, they're in danger. Look, there's military movement. They're in danger. Look at what's happening. Get in the car. There are even scenes. Okay, wait, let me see if I can find. These are slow motion scenes. It has nothing to do with it. But let me see if I can find that one clip. What's freaking hilarious about it? Here it is. Okay, so this clip right here, they're making it seem like, look at what's happening. Oh no, this was a bullshit scene. This was their friend that's like, hey guys, you scared the shit out of us. I thought you were a bad person following us. I know, that was the point. And the Chinese guy's like, let me get up in there. And he tries to be edgy and he's like, pull the car up. And this is him going into his friend's car. That's what the scene was. They tried to market it like, oh my God, something crazy is happening. No, it wasn't. This wasn't fucking that. It's a point I'm trying to fucking make. Also, where she's screaming, you're thinking, oh my God, what does she see? That's so horrible. This was another slow motion scene. After that whole ordeal with the other guy that's like, which type of America are you? They do a little slow motion montage, cinematic montage of them screaming and oh my God, look at how traumatized we are. She throws up in the car after and she's here screaming. This is literally the only clip. She's not reacting to anything. She's screaming because she just saw something horrific they just left back there. And it's a slow motion scene of no, you can't hear her screaming. There's just music played over this. She's screaming and that's it. That's it. There is no point of this being in the freaking trailer because it has no context for what they're trying to portray in the trailer, which is like, look at how full of action this is. It's not. So one guy who is a horse racing announcer thought the same way. And just like the other comment that I showed you before, there's another person who admitted it too. Then he said he went back to watch a trailer, respected this dude and the other person because he disagreed with me, said the same things and claimed I was bitching. Sorry if you're hearing gunshots in the background. Someone's target practicing on their land. But anyway, I was a little annoyed at his response because I'm like, really? I'm bitching? Okay, fair enough, whatever. But he was mature enough to go and look at the trailer to see what I was talking about. He came back and admitted that after watching the trailer, just like the other guy, he understands why I would have those issues because the trailer did market the movie as being a completely different thing. To the point where I would even admit that it's almost as though it's a different genre in the way the trailer was portrayed. So nobody missed the point of the movie. And I'm sorry, you can miss the point of a movie and it still be entertaining. There were people who claimed they liked the movie, but they still missed the supposed point of the movie. So why aren't you up their ass cavity? Fourth, let's talk about the subjectivity of art. I answered this as someone else as well because they made a cheeky comment like, huh? It's almost like art is subjective or something. Yes, I mentioned that art is subjective. The irony lies in the story I told, a little parody about people paying $2.5 billion for a dot on a white canvas. The person who made it didn't even really care about. Maybe it's because he's rich or popular, but he could slap a dot on a canvas, tag it with $1 million price tag, and watch people flock to buy it, claiming they see some deep meaning. Meanwhile, he's laughing to the bank because he won a bet with his friends due to him making it on a whim. Just part of a bet. As I told this person, while art is subjective, it's entirely possible for people to present something as an art form and for it to be bad. I know this escapes a lot of people, but I further expounded by saying, and here are examples. An example, here's one. Ready for it? Cooking is an art form, but you can still be a bad cook or make bad food. Dancing is an art form, but you can still be bad at it. Nice spot? Singing is an art form, but you can still sing badly and bust out people's eardrums and be tone deaf. Drawing is an art form, but you can still be bad at it. Acting is an art form, but you can still be a bad actor.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh my God. Shocking! It doesn't mean people can't enjoy bad things, but even though it's subjective, you can still admit that when you shove a very gross looking dish in your mouth and you spit it out because it tastes like pig dick, that the food tastes bad and that people would agree that it tastes bad. Just because a rare few might relish the taste of pig dick smothered in booty paste doesn't make it fucking good. If that were true, we wouldn't have people like Gordon Ramsay making a career out of critiquing and judging people's food due to him being the best. We wouldn't have chefs going to school to learn what tastes go together. You crab-necked pimple eaters. I'm so sick and tired of people verbally persecuting those who didn't like what you liked. And that's why I'm dishing back your energy. It's so annoying to the point where I don't respect anybody who does that shit. You didn't like it, you don't like it, you liked it, you loved it. Why would that affect me? Why should it affect you personally? It's always interesting how people will bend over backwards to take a bullet for the worst movies and products imaginable. Sure, there are people out there who will like it. I'm not trying to insult those who do because everybody has their own tastes. Personally, I thought the Civil War movie was very bad. There were some good parts, which I acknowledged in my review, but they weren't enough, again, as I acknowledged in my review, to redeem the entire movie. I do feel cheated because what was advertised and what I was led to believe I'd be seeing isn't what I got. After spending money on a ticket and driving an hour and a half to see it, only to watch a movie that's 99% different than what was promised, you cannot blame me and others for feeling this way. When it comes to Godzilla vs. Kong: The New Empire, right? I was actually really pleased with my purchase, and I would gladly pay over and over and over to see it again. Was it a good movie objectively? Maybe not, but it was highly entertaining, and crucially, it was exactly what it marketed itself to be. They promised ridiculous kaiju physics and over-the-top action with giant monkey and lizards going wild. And that's exactly what we got. The film delivered exactly what it marketed itself to be. It didn't trick or deceive people into watching something that deep down, it knew most people wouldn't enjoy. That's the difference. I at least thought that people were mature enough and had functional brains to understand that. Ordinarily, I wouldn't comment because it's whatever, but it's not just on my video, it's a sentiment I've seen across multiple videos where people just simply didn't like something. And they're not even insulting other people or people that liked it, they're just talking about their experience. It is so annoying. And as I've said before on my Twitter, we need to push back against stuff like that. I'm tired of seeing people bullied just because they didn't enjoy what others did or don't think the same way. It's a primitive and intolerant way to behave. Well, I like dick a lot. You don't like dick? Okay. What is the big deal? I mean, the irony of all of it is that, you know, as they've said, you know, art is subjective, right? Art is supposed to welcome different interpretations. So if people are aware and making the argument that art is subjective, then how can they then take issue with someone exercising that subjectivity by stating that they didn't like something? Because to them it was bad or it sucked. Like, even if you can exercise your art form. If you're trying to tell a story and it's incoherent and has no direction, I'm sorry. But just because someone can derive pleasure from it doesn't make it a great masterpiece. You know, when I'm doing my stories, I'm not perfect at it, I admit, but I love doing them and I pour my heart into it. And I also understand the stories I make must make sense. If there is an inconsistency in my story, I expect people to call it out, throw it in my face and berate me, telling me it makes no sense. Or they tell me they hate it. I respect their perspective as long as they're not insulting everybody else in the space or trying to censor me outright. I like my stories to actually go somewhere. And if I'm telling people that this is going to be an adventure story or a parody of Godzilla's universe, and he's one way in one chapter and then a completely different personality in another one, or they only get one sliver of what I told them and the rest of it has nothing to do with Godzilla, you know, I market my story as being full of adventure and romance and kaiju, and then they get nothing of the sort, I cannot then turn around and blame people for being upset and then tell them, you missed the point. Like, now with books or stories, you have a little bit more leeway because people can just go into it without really knowing what they're getting, even with the summary. But when you market a movie, visual trailer that people can see, you let people know via the trailer, this is the genre of the movie and this is what you can expect to get out of the movie. Look at the Fast and Furious trailers.
Ouch. This is impossible. Which is why you're gonna need a little help. I will beat you like a Cherokee drum. Like it or not, you and your friends are a part. Switch it up, like.
See? You see those, right? Nobody goes into Fast and Furious being disappointed because the trailers show them doing something completely different. It's high octane, full of action, it's sexy, it's guys fighting each other, it's cars racing, it's full of action, automobiles, comedy, and guess what the movies are about? Little wormies? High octane, full of action, cars, automobiles, comedy, and family. Can you imagine if the Fast and Furious trailers were what they were, but when you watch the movie, what they showed in the trailer only makes up like 5 to 10 minutes of the entire runtime of the movie? Would you blame people for feeling catfished? Would you then open your bad breath mouth and tell people that they missed the point of the movie? Give me a goddamn break. Like, serious question. Are y'all okay? Are you experiencing Stockholm Syndrome or something? I hope to goodness that you're able to get out of the cage that your mind is in, because for people to be bending over this hard to where their skull is so far up their own digestive tract, you must be held against your will. Something must be going on. Let people like what they like. If they didn't like the movie and their review reflects that, here's something. I know this is a revelation to a lot of people. It has nothing to do with you. It's not a personal attack against you. Bitch, they don't even know who you are. You can disagree, but being all like, oh, how dare you? Go out and touch some fucking grass, bro. Go plant some grass if you don't have any, and go touch it when it grows. Nurture it. Feel the blades as they emerge from the ground, as they mature. Sniff the soil. Feel it between your fingers. Taste it if you wish. And then touch that grass. Touch it. Rub it up against your freaking nipples. Because I swear to God, that will change your life. You need this. Relax. It's a movie. People can bitch about it and hate it. You can disagree with them. You can agree with them. It doesn't matter. But nobody is insulting you personally or your mother or your family because you liked it or you didn't like it. So stop doing that to others.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if